So the last lesson I do on factoring is lesson 2 in the workbook, so page 329. What this lesson is going to have to do with is that PSA2 or decomposition. So I just want you to write PSA2, which was called decomposition. When you did decomposition, you always got 4 terms. Okay, so 100% of the time when you do decomposition, you decompose that middle term, you're going to get 4 terms. If you see 4 terms, what it's called is group factoring. So what you're going to see, the reason why I don't call this another method of factoring is because you've actually already done this. I just need to sort of refresh you for what you would do if you see 4 terms. All right, we're actually going to start on the last class example, which is class example number 3. And I want you to look at A for a second. This is 4 terms. What we did in PSA2 or decomposition when we had 4 terms is, remember I said split the terms in half? So I said split your terms in half. Then I said draw a division bar under the first 2 terms and take the GCF out of the first 2 terms. So between a 1x squared and a 3x, what's the GCF? 1x. That factor goes in front of the bracket and the answer goes in the bracket. So when you do the division, 1 divided by 1 is 1, x squared divided by x is x, plus your x's here will cancel, 3 divided by 1 is 3. Then remember I said, okay, hide these first 2 or cover these up, and then you put a division bar under the last 2 terms. You look at the last 2 terms and you say, what's the GCF of a 6 and an 18? What is it? 6. This is where you have to tell me, is it a plus 6 or a minus 6? Yes, it is always going to be that guy there. Then do your division. 6 divided by 6 is 1x plus 18 divided by 6 is 3. What we have is 2 brackets. Each bracket is identical, so you simply factor out that bracket. So 1x plus 3, 1x plus 3, you're going to factor out a 1x plus 3. That's one of your factors. The remaining bracket, or what goes in the second bracket, is what's left over. So your second factor is 1x plus 6. Now remember, you don't need those invisible ones, x plus 3 and x plus 6. Those are your 2 factors. So let's do these 4 more so that you're really good at group factoring. 4 terms, split it in half. You'll get faster and faster. 8x squared and a 2x. What is the GCF Ainsley of that? 2x. It goes in front of a bracket, the answer in the bracket. 8 divided by 2 is 4. X minus, x over x will cancel. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Go to your other 2 terms. Bracket. Say to yourself, what can I factor out of a 12 and a 3? 3. Here you have to put always the sign, which is going to be a plus 3. Answer goes in the bracket. 12 divided by 3 is 4x. Here you have a negative divided by a positive, which will give you a negative. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Those brackets are the same, 4x minus 1, 4x minus 1. So you factor that out. And your second factor is what remains, which is a 2x plus 3. And that would be your answer. I'm going to do C with you because it has a negative. And then you're going to try D, and I'll pick 2 people for the factors of that. Let's do C together though, because the negative, make sure you get this correct. So 4 terms, split it in half. GCF of those first 2 terms, Justin, what do you think? 8a squared and a 4a. 4a is the GCF. When you carry out your division, you would have 2a minus 4 divided by 4 is 1. Go over here. Students can look at that and say 10 and a 5, easy. It's a 5, right? What is the sign of the 5? Negative. It always has to be this. If you forget that, you will get this one wrong. So on your quiz, I will only give you one group factoring question, like one where I give you 4 terms. Guaranteed it's going to have a negative, right? Because this is the one that you have to think about. So you bring down that minus 5. Negative 10 divided by negative 5. 2 negatives give you a positive 2a. Here you have positive and a negative. That will give you a negative. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 2a minus 1 is a factor. 4a minus 5. Because what's remaining always is your second factor. Okay, I will set up D for you, and then I'll just get 2 people to give me the answer. Michaela, what do you want me to GCF out of those first 2 terms? 2a? Or 9's not divisible by 2. 3a. Yeah. Okay, let's look at this one together. What is the biggest number you could divide out of a 2 and a 3? A 1. And then, is it a plus 1 or is it a minus 1? It is a minus 1. That guy's a minus. Okay, so I'm going to pick 2 different people for the answers. If I call on you, just give me one of your factors, and then somebody else will give me the other factor. Evan, do you have one of these factors? Which one? 2a minus 3 is correct. Okay, Olivia, do you have the other factor? Not yet. Kyle S., do you have it? Do you have the other one? So 2a minus 3 and 3a minus 1. Yep, it would be this guy, 3a minus 1. I really like E, even though sometimes students don't like it because it's just letters, but you do the same thing. Divide it in half. Say to yourself, PQPR, what's common? P. Cancel out those P's. And what are you left with? Q plus R. Over here, same thing. SQSR. Julius, what's common between an SQSR? S. Now we got to take the sign. Julius, are you dividing out a negative S or a positive S? Negative. He's correct because of that. Okay. Negative S and negative S will cancel to give you Q. Negative and a negative gives you a positive R. Your 2 factors should be P minus S is 1 and Q plus R is the other. Are you good with that? Okay, 4 terms, that's what you're going to do. Split in half and group factor. Now, let's go back up and look at number 1. Let's start with B. So say to yourself, what's happening with B? Look at those 2 brackets, and it should give you a hint. What do you guys notice about those 2 brackets? They're the same. This question, they got to like this point here where 2 brackets are the same, right? So for number 1, you say, okay, 3 minus 2y, 3 minus 2y, they're the same. This is the group factoring stuff. So we got to take that out. 3 minus 2y, factor that out. And then the second bracket is what's remaining, which is the 7 plus 2y. This one here, I'm going to ask somebody for the second one. Students are always get this first one. They're like, okay, 4a minus, or sorry, 4a plus 1. They're going to get that guy. And then that's gone. Raise your hand, please. What would the second one be? Cleta. Yes. There's an invisible 1 there. So some people here would put 9a, but it's 9a plus 1. I hate the way they wrote this question. So if you look, x plus 7, x plus 7, that's the same. I don't know why they put this 3 in a bracket. It doesn't need a bracket. And I don't know why they put this guy in a bracket, right? See if you could factor this. So just say to yourself, x plus 7, x plus 7. That's one of your factors. What's the other factor? So let's do x plus 7, right? This is what we're factoring out. So it's gone. And then, McKenna, do you see what the other factor would be? 4x minus 3. Yes, that's what's remaining. All right, let's do, there's only 3 more questions, but you're going to notice something. So start with this guy, factor it. So a minus 6, a minus 6. So you would say, okay, a minus 6, right, is common. Factor that out. And then you would say 3a minus 9, and you'd only get 2 out of 3. So Ainsley knows. Does anybody else know why you'd only get 2 out of 3? So look at both brackets. And you always ask yourself, like, can I further take something out? So Ainsley, what is it? In the second bracket, there's a GCF of 3 here. So my first bracket is a minus 6. Then she took out a 3. And what you would get is going to be a minus 3. Then that's a little like messy the way that's written. Do you guys know how I would want to, where would I want that 3 at the end of the day? At the front, yeah. So you would just write this to look like 3, a minus 6, a minus 3. It doesn't matter for these brackets which comes first, which comes second, but always put that factored number in front. So now try this one. Just write C, factor it, and then one of the brackets can be further factored. So let's see if you could figure it out. And when you finish that one, do D. Same thing. Factor it, but one of the brackets could be further factored. Did you have a question or are you done? Yes. No, because this is a 3 plus b. It's a 3 plus 1b. Oh, sorry, this is a b, not a 6. Sorry, you guys, this is a b. Yeah, so it's a 3 plus 1b. Jackson, could you read me for C your 3 different factors? Oh, sorry, for this one. Did you do this guy? Okay. Who's got this one? Who's got the 3 factors for this one? Say why you want to do this one. So 5, she said 3 plus b, so she just wrote that guy first, and then she wrote a plus 2. Because this guy here, you could take out a 5, right? So take out the 5, and when you divide out a 5, you'd be left with a plus 2, and there's that 3 plus b. Okay, who wants to do this one? Who's got this one done? 3 factors for this guy. Juan, you think you know what it is? Did you? Oh, I just wrote an extra one. Did you do that one? Yes. Sorry, that's a 9. 3a minus 9. Okay, so you'd have a 3, and then you'd have a minus what? If you divided this by 3. Yep, a minus 3, a minus 6. So that's why that guy would be worth 3 marks as well. I'm going to give you some of these to practice, and tomorrow we'll do our study guide on all of them. Open up your books. I don't know why I wrote this last. Okay, 1ABH. Oh, and actually I remember with number 1 there was something that we could further factor. F and G. So star F and G for number 1. Those guys, look at the 2 brackets. One of them you could further factor. Number 2, ACE. Number 3, ACDF.